Hello, hello, hello. It is Friday. Hello, come on in. I didn't give you all a warning about what I was talking about, no preview, but y'all know I was gonna be here. Y'all are my friends, and so I get excited about Fridays. Come on in the room. I have been waiting for you. It is Friday at noon, and we are here to have a good time. Hello, Auntie Louise. Hello, Vicky. Thank you for joining. Come on in, tag a friend, and share the video so that others can see us. Because we're going to have a good time today and we're going to learn a lot. Hello, Miss LaShonda. Thank you for joining. And hello, Mama. Auntie Wanda, thank you for joining us today. Glad to see that you made it with us today. It is sunshiny here in Birmingham. And I hope that wherever you are, the sun is shining too. That makes me very, very happy. Hello, Mommy. LaShonda says, hello, everybody. Because we're one big old family over here at Dr. Brandy B. We are going to have some fun today. Y'all know I like to have fun. I like to educate and entertain y'all. All right, at the same time. So much fun, so much fun. Let's see if we can get a few more people. I usually give them until about 12:03. And once some more people come on in, then we are going to get started. Make sure you are sharing. Hello, Dia. Thank you for joining. Make sure you're sharing so that other people can get this good news. We're going to be talking today about what it takes to raise successful and mentally healthy adults, right? Because we didn't start off as adults. We were little bitty, itty bitty babies. And then one day, magically, we appeared as adults. But there were some steps that happened along the way. And some people say, well, my parents didn't do a good job. But if you are a parent or even a grandparent, you have a chance to do it over. We're so excited about that. Hello, Karen. Thank you for joining from Albany. And hello, Auntie Rosalind. Thank you for coming in. Hello, beautiful lady. She says hello. And Auntie Louise says hello, love. I am here. I am here. All right, well, we're going to go ahead and get started. I am Dr. Brandy B., your triple board certified child and adolescent psychiatrist. And I help worried, overworked, and overwhelmed moms who have children, who just have children, period. I help them get what they need, the education that they need, so that they can help their children grow up and be successful in the classroom and in life. And so today, I want to talk to you all about what it takes to raise healthy adults, healthy, mentally healthy, and successful adults. Now, somebody's going to say, well, now, Dr. Brandy B., your kids are not adults. And you are absolutely right. Although that little girl, I don't know about her. She might be a little adult and we just don't know it. Trapped in a baby's body. But you're right. I don't have any adults. But I certainly have worked with enough adults as patients and also adults who are parents and also children, adolescents, to know what kind of happens over life. So at one of the places where I go and I see adults from time to time, I have noticed that they all have the same background, the same history. And I thought, oh my goodness, maybe somebody needs to hear what has happened with these adults so that they don't do that themselves with their own children or grandchildren. So that's what we're going to talk about today. Hello, Miss Luella. Thank you for joining. So we're going to talk about today what it takes to raise adults, children who grow up to adults that are mentally healthy and successful. And so the answer, you got to love them, right? It's that easy. Just gotta love them. That's all. Nothing hard. And so Auntie Ross says she is high faith. Faith is occupied right now. I told them that I'm talking to my friends around the world, so hopefully there will be no banging on the door, but we cannot make any promises around here at Dr. Brandy B's house. But we have to love our kids, right? And y'all know me. Y'all know I love a good acronym. I actually have to give my husband credit for the love part. But hey, Auntie Brenda, thank you for joining. But we gotta love our kids. And the L is for learn what your child needs. Learn what your child needs. Now, sometimes as parents, somebody drop that in the chat for me. Learn what your child needs. Somebody type, we got to love our kids. And then the L is to learn what they need. And every child needs something different, right? So you all know that I have 2 older brothers, and then it was me after them at the end. And we are all very different, right? And even in adulthood, we all needed very different things from our parents, right? And so you have to learn as parents what your child needs. Don't try to put off on them what the others need. And likewise, don't try to expect of them what you can expect of the others. Because every child is an individual, right? Even my 3. One is very laid back, goes with the flow. That's the one in the middle. One is, hello world, I am here. That's the baby girl. And then the other one is just kind of, he's assessing the scene, protecting everybody. That's the oldest one, right? But the little girl is just something else. One day I'll let y'all meet her, but I just don't ever know what she might give y'all. But we have to learn what our children need, and we have to respect them as individuals, right? Because they are individuals, okay? We have to make sure that we are being mentally healthy ourselves, because our kids need for us to be mentally healthy. So what does that mean? If you know that you have anxiety that is pouring over into them and affecting them, or if you have a drug problem or alcohol problem that is pouring over into them and affecting them, or if you are in a bad relationship and it is pouring over into them and affecting them, then you need to make sure that you get all of those things under control. I mentioned earlier that what I've noticed from these adults that I see is that they all have the same history, all right? A great deal of them. And guess what it is? It is that they were either sexually or physically abused as children. So what we have to do in learning what our kids need is to recognize that they need a safe environment. And unfortunately, sometimes we are not honest with ourselves in recognizing that we can't give it to them, right? Because sometimes what the kids need is a parent transplant. And I tell people all the time, it's not fair. All of my colleagues have a transplant. The cardiologist can give you a heart. The pulmonologist can give you a lung. The GI doctors can give you a liver. The orthopedists go in and they change out all sorts of stuff and give you hardware. But the psychiatrists, we can't do any transplants. But sometimes we can, and that's called a parent transplant. And I know that we hate the system, but sometimes that really is what is best for the kids when they are left at home, or they're exposed to violence, or they're exposed to mama's boyfriend or daddy's girlfriend, or however that may work out, such that then that person is in a position to hurt that child. These kids need to be safe. They need to be safe. So if we are wanting to set our children up in position to be healthy, mentally healthy, successful adults, we need to learn what they need. And what they need is to be safe. They need to be taught as or treated as an individual, and they need to know that you care about them as an individual. What does all of this mean? It means that we have to give them time. So they need our time. More than anything else, kids need our time, right? Because while we're running around trying to make a living, sometimes we forget to live. So what they need, and we have to learn this over time, is that they need us. All right, let's see what else we got here. Let's see. Thanks, Allie, for joining. Learn what the child needs. Absolutely. Monica, thank you for joining. Learn what your child needs. Learn what your child needs. All right. Awesome. Thank you, Dr. Andrea. And Auntie Louise says, I think Faith and Zion have been here before. I think they may have. And Auntie Sadie, that's right, Auntie Sadie. Hey, Miss Sadie, thank you for joining. All right. And Cecilia, thank you. Thank y'all for coming on in. So in summary, we're talking about what you need to do to raise sane, mentally healthy, successful children. And the answer is that you need to love them. The first thing is the L, and that is to learn what they need. And some things that they need are to be safe. They need you mentally healthy, right? Y'all been listening to me now since May. And some of y'all want to go, and you know you need to go, but for some reason you have not gone to get a mental health checkup. And so I am asking you, I'm even begging you, for your own sanity and for that of the children and grandchildren that you are around, please go and do that. If you are raising your grandchildren, they need you mentally well, because kids learn so much of this behavior and so much of even these emotions. They can be learned, right? So learn what your child needs. The O, be obedient. Be obedient. Now, y'all know I talk about the Bible all the time. And the Bible says to train up a child in the way he should go, and when he is old, he will not depart from it. All right, so that means he might depart, but he'll come on back, right? So we first need to be obedient to God, but then we need to instill obedience into our children. First, they need to be obedient to us as parents, right? Now, parents often say, you're going to do it because I told you. But do not forget, parents, do not forget that respect is a two-way thing. If you're constantly cursing at your kids, one day they're going to curse you back. And now you want to beat them up. They learned that behavior somewhere, right? So we have to make sure that we're giving them both ways what they need. We also want to make sure when we're talking about obedience that we are teaching them that they will have to be obedient to the laws of the land. So many children now think that they are above the law or that it does not apply to them, when in actuality, they have to obey the red light, the stop sign, the yellow light, and know that it means slow down. All of that they have to obey. They have to obey the police officer. They have to obey their boss, right? Nobody gonna boss me. Well, nobody's gonna employ you either, right? So we have to make sure that we're telling them that. Now, I know some people say, well, the Bible didn't talk about Facebook, and the Bible didn't talk about all these things that these kids are exposed to, and in part, you're probably right. It doesn't necessarily spell out that get them off Facebook at 8 p.m. It doesn't tell you that. But there are some things in there that may, in fact, tell you about what to do so that you can help your kids be mentally well and successful. Thank you, Auntie Louise. The O is for obedience. So you need to be obedient to God, and you need to not only make sure that your children are obedient to you, but that they are obedient to the laws of the land, and that they're obedient to just love, right? Right? Because we can put love in any of these. Understanding that if you do to your neighbors what you would want done to you, oh my goodness, if you're obedient to that principle, can y'all imagine just how awesome the country would be, the world would be, our neighborhoods would be, our schools would be, our homes would be, if we were just obedient to the concept of love and doing unto other people what we wanted done to us. That's an amazing thought. So we need to be obedient. The V is for verbal. We need to be verbal and advocate for our children. Okay? So what does that mean, Dr. Brandy B? It means that you need to be at the school, right? If you know that your child has some special need, special learning situation, or even some physical problem that your doctor is not paying attention to, your psychiatrist is not paying attention to, their pediatrician is not paying attention to, then it's going to be important that you are their advocate, that you're verbal about it, right? Because so many things can get swept under the rug, right? And never heard of. Or that IEP that you thought you were going to get, you told a teacher about it and asked them verbally, but you didn't go the next step and extend your verbal into a written request. And now 6 months later, Johnny's failing and nobody ever knew that you had made that request. You've got to make sure that you're verbal and advocating for them. You've got to make sure that you're verbal and expressing your belief in them, right? Your belief in them. So if they never hear it, if they never hear you say, I love you, if they never hear it, right? And so we always say that love is what love does, but love is what it says sometimes too. And so sometimes we need to say to our children, sons to daughters, dads to daughters, dads to sons, moms to both as well. We need to say, I love you, right? So make sure you're telling your children, I love you, because they may go through an entire day and not hear it at all. So they need to know that at home is a mom and is a dad who loves them, right? All right, so we gotta learn what our kids need. We're talking about, if you're just coming in, what it takes to raise mentally healthy and successful adults. The first thing is that we need to learn what they need. They need to be safe. They need to be away from abusive relationships. They need to be in homes where there is love. They need to be in homes where parents are mentally well and not on drugs, right? That's what they need. And I mentioned it, but let me go back up there. Sometimes kids need to be loved enough that you let them go. And I think I mentioned it. Because you're not well enough to take care of your kid. And I've talked to you all before about that 0 to 3 age. What happens to a child between 0 and 3 is really what sets them up from a psychological standpoint for the rest of their lives. So when we talk about people who are anal, we talk about people who are just not very nice people. But something about that 0 to 3 age may have happened to them such that as they were developing, right? They got to about that 3-year age where you learn that there can be changes and you can be flexible. Maybe they missed that part, right? Sometimes kids go into foster homes or even get adopted, but they come from situations where they didn't have a whole lot of food. Parents just kind of left them sitting in their poop and with nothing to eat. And so the families will say, well, I don't understand. This child can have anything in my house to eat, but they sneak it to their room and eat it in the middle of the night and throw the wrappers under their bed. Well, that's because between ages 0 to 3, they didn't know where their next meal would come from. So even though there's a lot of food at your house, they still have that ingrained in them, that they don't know where their next food will come from. So they may as well store it up, right? Okay. So in 0 to 3, we rely on somebody to change us, to make sure our butts are clean. All right. So some of that anal stuff may come from people who weren't necessarily changed. A lot of times kids who, we think about kids who have been sexually abused as having different attachments to their anus. But sometimes it's just all about you didn't get changed like you needed to because you relied on someone else to do that. So really a part of loving your kids sometimes is knowing when you can't give them what they need. All right. And then the last thing, so we got the L, learn what they need. The O, be obedient. So you need to be obedient to your master. And then you need to teach your child to be obedient to the world, right? The laws of the land, to the idea of love, to the idea of success. We have to teach our kids to be okay with the fact that you're going to make decisions and there are going to be consequences for them. We need to make sure that we're telling them that that's a rule. And so they need to be obedient to that rule. And then the V is going to be verbal. You need to be verbal and advocate for your children, because there are going to be people in the world who are equally out to not do for them. And so you've got to be there to make sure that you're doing for them what needs to be done. And then your E is to encourage them. You need to encourage your kids. Now, I think I mentioned before, but you need to believe them. There's believe in them, and then there is believe them. If your child comes to you and says something is happening, you first need to listen. Spend time with them, which is what the L talks about from learning them. But then you need to believe them, right? Whatever it is that they're saying, believe them. And then when you find out otherwise, make sure you call them out and let them know that lying is something that we won't be obedient to. We've got to be obedient to truth, right? But you want to believe in them and you want to believe them. You want to also meet them where they are. We want to meet them where they are. Now, if you know that your child struggles academically, but he says he wants to be a doctor, I am the first to tell you that I am a psychiatrist and not a psychic. So I don't try to predict people's futures, but I'm also a realist. And if your child is 12 and still struggles with learning the alphabet, but they want to be a doctor, then you telling them, baby, you can do that, but not helping them to find some alternate options, you're probably not doing them a good thing, right? Because they're going to grow up and they might be devastated when in fact they cannot become a doctor, right? I'm a realist. That's right, girl. Shaniqua says a realist because we have to be. So there's no reason to give our kids false hopes. And it's a thin line between giving them a false hope versus supporting all of their dreams. Take me, for example. I said to my parents, I want to be a doctor. Well, now my mom is a nurse and my dad's a laborer. Very, very, very smart people, but neither of them were doctors. So what did they do? They believed me when I said I wanted to do it, right? They weren't out here talking about, well, she says she want to be a doctor, but ain't nobody in our family no doctor, right? So they believed me, and then they believed in me. How do I know they believed in me? I know that they believed in me because my college education at Vanderbilt cost more than the house I grew up in. And they never would have done that if they didn't believe in me, right? So we've got to do both of those things. They encouraged me. How do I know they encouraged me? Because every time that the Vanderbilt Stadium opened and I was on dance line, they were there. So many of them, in fact, that the people at the hotel thought it was a family reunion one weekend when they came. But that was just how much everybody in the family believed in me, believed me, and encouraged me. You know, and when it comes to, you may say, well, Dr. Brandy B, nobody ever told you what you couldn't do. You've got some pretty wild dreams now, and I do. But I also have all these other things in place that would say I have the ability to do that, right? So I don't want you to discourage your children, but I want you to guide them, right? So if you've got the 12-year-old who's struggling with the alphabet and they want to be a doctor, let's introduce them to candy striping. Let's get them in the hospital because that may be the perfect fit for them. Everybody around them may say, this child is the best candy striper we've ever had. And they can lift them up and they get promoted to lead candy striper. And now they're with the CEO on pictures, you know, the CEO of the hospital. This is a great day for them. And you were important in shaping that. Instead of telling them, yes, baby, we're going to make you a doctor, right? Who knows? They may even get an honorary degree. But the chances of them actually becoming a doctor may be slim if they have struggles academically, right? Challenges. And you want to have affirmations over your children. Now, y'all know mantras, affirmations are really they're my thing, right? I'll tell y'all about something that I've had a mantra about for the last month. And it is happening, right? It's coming true. But those are so important. You can speak over your child. Like I said, you can shape their future. But you've got to make sure that you're loving them. You've got to make sure you're supporting them. And you've got to make sure that you're always pushing them forward, right? So whenever I performed, I could look out in the audience and see my family sitting there. And so thank you, family. Thank you, thank you, thank you. All of them. I could see them. When I end a live, the next voice I hear is my mama, right? All of that, and I even say, how did I do, mama? Your kids need to know that you're there. Your kids need to know that they have your support. And your kids, but they need to be loved. And sometimes love means being obedient, and then it means discipline, right? Because I got my fair share of being disciplined. But all of that has come together to make me who I am today. So in closing, if you want successful, mentally well adults. You've got to make sure you love them. And I just want y'all to understand, neither of my parents were doctors. Neither of them were. So the takeaway from that is that you can get it from your children, even things that you didn't have, right? I now get to take my mom. Y'all know my dad is deceased, but here he is. He's hanging out with me. Here they both are. Look at that, at my med school graduation. So my dad is deceased, right? But I still get to honor him and my mother because I'm grateful for what they did to me. I was telling somebody not long ago that no was a whole sentence even before that became a popular saying. No was a paragraph with my mama. No, mama, may I know? Mama, so-and-so is no. Now that she might have said if your auntie Roz will take you. But otherwise it was no. And I didn't appreciate no until I went off to college and I could then make the yes, no for myself. So make sure you're loving your kids. You're listening to them and you're learning what they need. Learning what they need means spending time with them. Spending time with them means hanging up the phone, getting off the clock, telling all the organizations no, right? And I have to tell myself that. I got 3 little ones who love and adore me. My middle one told me this week, I don't want a mommy who works. And I had to remind him that he likes this house. So until the Lord blesses us with a Georgia lottery or something, then his mama's going to have to work. But I did hear him loud and clear, right? So kids want our time, and we have to learn what our kids need. The O is for obedient. We have to be obedient to God, and we have to make sure that we instill obedience in our children. Obedience to the law of the land, obedience to the idea of love, obedience to the idea of treating others as they want to be treated. And then the V is that we have to be verbal. We have to be verbal advocates for our kids. Some people you're going to run across in life and they're going to be excited about helping you. Other people you're going to have to demand it. And you should not be afraid or apologetic in demanding what it is that you know your child needs. And then E, your kids need to be encouraged. Encourage them, have affirmations over their lives, pray over them, be there smiling when all the world has turned against them, right? Make sure, and this is very important, I left this out, but make sure, parents, that in the chance that something happens to you, you die, that there is someone else that you think is the next best thing, the next best person to come in and take care of your children. Don't leave it to chance. We could all die at any time, right? So we need to make sure that we have that set up. And if we know that our children are differently abled, it is our responsibility to make sure that even if they live to be 70 and you live to be 102, that some plan is in place for them. That's how we set them up for success. And remember that success looks different for different people, right? I can't compare myself to my brothers when it comes to success. You shouldn't compare yourself to your siblings, nor should you compare your children. Just make sure that your children are going to be whatever version of themselves is the best that they can be. And if they can be a candy striper in a hospital where their brother is the CEO, and in a hospital where their sister is the chief medical officer, everybody is a success based on their own abilities. All right, y'all. Y'all went out and voted. I'm happy about that. So hopefully your person is winning. And if not, hopefully we can exercise the idea of obedience to love, because we're still going to need some love, right? To get through this, whatever it is that's going through, we're going to need some love. And I hope y'all got your breast exams, your mammograms. I got mine Monday. It was my first, and I got my letter yesterday that all was well. So hopefully if you're over 40, because we don't just have to do it just in October. That's just the time that we set aside to say, hey, remember to do it. But make sure you get your mammograms. We want everybody around. Make sure you wear your mask. I was talking to a man today, And he said, well, you know, the coronavirus has lifted. It's lightened up. And I said, sir, are you watching the news? Don't let the election results consume you. Contrary to popular belief, coronavirus is still around, and it's going to be around next week after hopefully they've decided whoever will be the next president. And I think that's it. We're coming up on Thanksgiving. Go ahead and get all those yummy recipes together. Shoot them over to me so I can make some of them. No, I'm just kidding. Y'all know I don't cook. But yeah, be safe with your families. They are giving us recommendations about how to do it safely. Eat outside. If you're inside, have the windows up. So all of these are things we need to keep in consideration, take into consideration. Allow one person to prepare the food and don't do it buffet style. Y'all know how y'all like to do. So we may need to styrofoam them up. Dollar Tree makes some good little to-go boxes. So whatever it is, I want y'all to be safe. I really, really, really do. Y'all know I love you so much. I'm so appreciative for y'all hanging out with me on a Friday at noon. And I just wanted to do something to make it a little bit light today. Let's see what we got. Encourage them, believe in them, encourage. Auntie Rosa says Dr. Brandy B was very active, and we never wanted her to participate in something that we weren't there for. And I can't tell y'all how important that is. I opened up a business in residency in Indianapolis, and my mama, my Auntie Louise, my Auntie Rosalind, they all got in the car and drove to Indianapolis for my grand opening. And y'all, I just had a room in a building. But you just don't know what that does for your children to know that if they're in a candy cane throwing contest, I want you as parents to be on the front row taking pictures. Y'all got pictures now, posting like can't nobody throw a candy cane like my baby can throw one. All right. So that is what our kids need. Our kids need love. Our kids need our attention, and our kids need the best that we can give them. So if you are in a bad relationship, please try your best to safely get out. If you know that the man that you're with is touching your kids, or you have suspicion of that, please get out of there. Because these are the kids that really grow up and they struggle and they want to do better as adults, but they are still trapped in that either my mama didn't believe me or my mama stayed, right? My mama chose him over me. And it's just really hard for people to get over that. And then these are the people that are sad, and we just tell them, just get over it. You were a child. And we've talked about that before. So I love y'all, and I will see you all next week. I hope that y'all have a refreshing weekend, right? Don't be consumed with these elections, because whatever's going to happen is going to happen. Turn that TV off, or turn over to some trash TV or your regular news, because, I mean, it's depressing in and of itself, but it may give you some things that you need to know about what's going on locally with you. Be a friend to somebody. Be kind to somebody. And just tell somebody you love them. When we hang up, call somebody and just tell them you love them, all right? Because they may need to hear that, right? So I love y'all. Y'all know I do. And I will see you next Friday. Until then, I am Dr. Brandy B, your triple board certified child and adolescent psychiatrist. And through my educational Facebook Lives and other programs, I help worried, overworked, overwhelmed moms and dads get the education and the encouragement they need so that they can help their children grow up to be successful in the classroom and in life, and also to be mentally healthy. Y'all take care, and I'll see you next week. Bye-bye.